Good evening. This is your astrology report for Aquarius for the month of September. This is a love, life, career, full-blown reading from the divine feminine, divine masculine aspects. It's broken down into the good, the bad, and how to find balance within those aspects. This top row here is your divine feminine. This bottom row here is your divine masculine. And this right here is divine balance, how you can, find balance in between. So, getting right into it, going into the the divine feminine. What's going to be good for the month of September is the map maker of destiny. In reverse, actually. With the map maker of destiny, I'll show it to you on the upright side. It deals with authentic purpose, inspiration, and free will, and it's a 24. With that 24, you add that together to be a 6, but it's basically a multiplication of the soul. If you look at yourself and can see a good reflection, then you can move ahead towards that balance. And when you add that 2 and the 4, you'll get your 6. So basically, it's just telling you to own your own path. You are the author of your own story, so you need to embrace it in full. That's, from the aspect of divine feminine, which deals with intuition and creativity in the larger sense of the universe itself. Before I go any further, with this Aquarius energy, it's under 11. And 11 is not only the energy that we're under with 2018, but in itself, it's the illuminator. Master number 11 is what people tie into awareness itself. It shines a light on everything and allows you to see the bigger picture, but just seeing the bigger picture does not guarantee movement towards the bigger picture. So that's where this divine feminine comes in, is now that you see the bigger picture, understand that you are the map maker and move towards it. The heavy part of that energy, or the bad, and again, it's not always going to be a bad thing, but what's going to be the heavy part of that energy riding on your divine feminine for the month of September is the prison wave. And that has to deal with self-sabotage and poverty consciousness. So if you're understanding that you're the one who wrote this map, wrote this story, you already made a soul agreement. And some people say you made a soul agreement with other aspects, like other people that play part in your story. You've already, like, some people see it in the sense of you had this big cosmic meeting before you reincarnated or incarnated, and it was like, okay, I'm going to meet you at this point, I'm going to get married to you, I'm not going to like you, you're going to be my son, you're going to be my daughter, so on and so forth. You mapped out your whole show. Then you need to understand that you need to let go of that sense of self-sabotage, because if you're like, well, if I'm stuck in a situation with so-and-so and there's no way I would have asked for this, but in some senses, yeah, if you are on a soul course of trying to get some growth, then you got to have the proper protagonist, or I hate using the word enemy, but the person who's going to be a source of turmoil. There's going to have to be some kind of struggle in order for them to be some level of gain. So don't buy into the fact that you are trapped in your situations, because just like you may have wrote yourself into that situation, more than likely you already wrote yourself out of it. And a lot of times we only can see what's right in front of us because we get caught in that 11 energy and we're blinded by the lights. That's the other converse to having the lights turned on, is if they're turned on too quickly, or if you're too close to the light, then you become blinded, and that makes you be stuck where you're at, because you only see, you won't be able to see anything. The Aquarius, if you think about the sign itself, there's a lot going on with it. To me, it's basically every sign that there is. I mean, the Aquarius, you'll see some of them dropping the water into you're dumping the buckets into the water. Dumping the buckets into the water, so one foot's going to be in the water and one's on earth. So they're carrying earth as they pour water. So they're learning to master their emotions. The water is the emotion, and they're staying grounded. But they're thinkers, because they had to think about how they wanted to do it. So they're air. And then, like, if you look at this right here, they even gave them a fire component. So with me, and I've always said I knew I could find a way to tie in the fire in there. I've always looked at Aquarius as a complete sign. It has aspects of all because it has that awareness of all things. 11 in illumination is awareness of all things. And so when you're aware that you wrote this story and that you're not trapped, so stop thinking that you don't have what you need to get out of it. The only way that you're going to find balance is by being the Lady of Lightning. The Lady of Lightning, my Oya card, is change. When you're looking at change, you have to understand that the only constant in this universe that we know of is change. There has to be change in order to get from point A to point B. It has to be motion. And if you look at it right here, it's showing up in this card. It's a 3 and a 5. If you can communicate or triangulate your path, that destiny, that map, if you can move on that path, then if you're doing it in the sense of the 3, which is communication or triangulation, then you can become that 5, which is staying in motion. And when you add it together, you get abundance. So the way out is by understanding from the divine feminine aspect, is understanding that you wrote this story, so go through it and always stay in change. And there's going to be big things going on along the way. As long as at the end of the day, it's a total paradigm shift, and you're not caught in any prisons because you didn't get caught by surprise, but you may be shocked sometimes. And so that's how your divine feminine will play out for the month of September. Coming down here into the divine masculine for the month of September, the masculine deals with your order and logic, and it's the sacred union in reverse. This is almost a divorce. Again, this is a career, life, and love reading. So just because I'm saying the word divorce does not mean you're going to get a divorce. But at that same time, there is a lot of that energy in this card. This card is basically saying you got to get rid of what no longer serves, in the sense of basically everything I keep saying. Life, love, relationships, career, the whole nine. If it is not giving you that fairy tale sense at the end of the day, if your life is not one of romance, then you need to get to it. You don't need to be stuck in these systems and thinking that you are under servitude and I'm enslave my energy to the matrix or to a person and different systems like that. You need to honor the fact that if you're going to be whole, you're going to have to move wholly, and everything else that is tying you down will only leave you with holes. So your sacred union is very important. And if you look at the card, it's a 27. That's a 9. September is a 9. 9, the highest vibration, is the highest vibration. It is the number of karmic endings, karmic lessons in itself. With this 9 right here, this is you. If you try and apply a little bit too much logic, and if you start stepping into things with a bitter energy, then you will mess around and you'll lose that energy of bringing things to the end. It will always come off, and things won't come to the end, especially if you are, say, going through a divorce and you step into it with bitter energies and you need to play tit for tat, or you just, are so soul hurt to where all you're seeing is where others done you wrong and not owning where you may have sabotaged yourself by staying imprisoned in the situation in the first place. If you move through those type of energies, then the heavy part of September, or the heavy energy for the whole month of September, may end up making you the Ice Queen. And it's going to have you not moving anywhere because you're going to have that sense of entitlement of what I'm feeling here is you're going to play that practitioner's card. So-and-so done me wrong, so now I done put them in a jar, or I done this and I done that, and I'm going to sit back and wait on my ancestors. I'm going to sit back and wait on the universe or the magic that I've called upon to fix the situation. But at the same time, you're not doing anything to distance yourself from the situation, because while you wasted your energy in, say, actively casting a spell or whatever you may have done, you've just tied your energy even further into that situation. And so instead of fixing yourself and figuring out whether that's a union that even need to be considered sacred in the first place, and it's likely not, even if it was tied into your map maker of destiny, even if you wrote this storyline in there, I guarantee you, if you wrote yourself in, again, like I said earlier, you wrote yourself out. Your prison will only stay an imprisonment as long as you imprison yourself. And by getting into this non-action movement of the Ice Queen, so instead of when you get your butt hurt feelings, and instead of you figuring out that I can't change them and I need to fix me, if you start focusing more on them, it's going to make you sit still, and then you're going to be trapped until you can figure out the best way to balance that divine masculine energy will be to go play in Gaia's garden. And that will have you thinking more of abundance than in that scarcity consciousness that was going on with the prison card. And you have to understand that you reap what you sow. So if, like I said with the jar situation, you just created a honey jar or some kind of coffin spill or something like that. You don't have to tie in that, that law of three and all that other stuff. You can look at it from many aspects. But at the end of the day, the energy that you could have been using for yourself, you have now chosen to give it to somebody who has already pretty much messed you over and showed you that there was no sacredness to that union in the first place. And this could be tied into jobs, family, relationship, or anything, even within your own self. If you realize you've been inauthentic with yourself and that you've been sabotaging yourself, then you will have to put in some type of work. You're going to have to make some kind of movement and get rid of these solid ideas that are probably ancient in origin anyway, because that's what the divine masculine like. It's old, ancient energies that basically work towards logic and control. We are at a point to where we need to honor the divine feminine, which says, the hell with control. Let's use our intuition and let's look at everything from all angles and not as in a linear sense of 1 + 2 = 3. We need to understand that sometimes that's just not what it is. It can go any way. So you need to go play in Gaia's garden if you want to balance your divine masculine, and you need to get back into a thinking of abundance, and that's going to be how you can bring things to that end, to that 9 energy. So the best way to honor that September energy, which is a 9, is by getting back into abundance energy. Even if life has shown you lemons, make lemonade. That's what you need to do. You just need to take it and keep on producing more of what's going to be what serves your soul. Because remember, you're the one that created this map. Now, the way you can balance your sacred masculine with your sacred feminine is where we get the sacred balance card of the Eagle King in reverse. And this is an offering, the big picture and angelic help. And it's a 12. You have to witness yourself. The 12 energy is, like I said earlier, think about the allegory of Jesus and his 12 disciples. Those were his 12 witnesses. So the 12 is the number of the witness. When you can look at yourself and see that, damn, I did this, but I need to make sure that I'm, staying in change, because I'm not in prison, and what don't no longer serve me, I'm not going to keep holding sacred. But at the same time, I'm not finna sit here and become cold and heartless. I'm going to stay in motion because I don't own anybody and nobody owns me. So there's no sense of entitlement that I can tie myself into. But I do need to get out here and play in nature, because everything around me is a result of what I have already put in. The energy I put in, it will be the energy I take out. And I can see it even before I get to it, as long as I witness myself and stay authentic to myself and recognize the bigger picture. And that is the awareness of 11. So Aquarius, you got a hard month but an easy month all at the same time. It's a duality. Embrace it how you want to, but just don't ever give up. And remember, you wrote this story, and embrace Oya's energy of always change and always transmute. Peace and wholeness.